There are three types of adult relationships. Adults fall into three ways in which they relate to other people. You could have people who are securely attached, and it's driven by their maternal behaviors, the way their mother reacted to them when they were younger. Did they have a nurturing mother? And if over time, when they were young, they had a nurturing mother, they reach adulthood with a sense of security. What does it mean? What does it look like to be a securely attached adult? An adult that in all their relationships, particularly in the spousal relationship, in the long-term relationship, they are securely attached. What does that sound like? So let me read for you. What does it sound like to be an adult who is securely attached? So a securely attached adult would say, I find it relatively easy to get close to others, and I'm comfortable depending on them and having them depend on me. All right, so they have a sense of comfort in depending on people. You depend on me. Sense of comfort, security. Furthermore, I don't often worry about being abandoned or about someone getting too close to me. Right? They don't have difficulties with reaching out to people, expressing emotions. This is the spouse that you ask them after a long day at work, how was your day today, sweetie? And they actually tell you. Right? They don't have a difficulty in expressing emotion. That is your securely attached adult. This is the model that they have within them, and this is what they're going to express in all relationships, especially with their spousal relationship. They're securely attached. What about the second type? There's a second type of adult, a second type of relationship in adulthood, and that is our avoidant adult, driven by early relationships that this adult had with their mother. The mother is more detached, more aloof, disconnected, and now they have this internal model, and now all their relationships are going to be detached and aloof. What does it sound like to be an adult who is avoidant? That type of adult says, I'm somewhat uncomfortable being close to others. I find it difficult to trust them, difficult to allow myself to depend on them, right? Someone who has a difficulty in depending on other people. I'm a rock, I'm on my own, I'm not going to depend on you. I'm nervous when anyone gets too close, and often love partners want me to be more intimate than I feel comfortable being, right? The partner wants more out of me than I'm willing to give. They want more of me than I'm willing to give. That is your avoidant type. What about your resistant ambivalent? A third type, which is very anxious driven. This is an adult who has a lot of anxieties about relationships. They're uncomfortable in relationships, driven by the way their mom interacted with them early on. A mom who was inconsistent. A baby who's not sure, Mom, are you with me today or you're not with me today? That produces an adult who also has this type of pattern. What does it sound like to be an adult who is very anxious in relationships? This is an adult who says, I find that others are reluctant to get as close as I would like. I often worry that my partners don't really love me or won't want to stay with me. They have a constant anxiety about, do you really love me? Do you really love me? Right? This is a kind of spouse or a long-term relationship where you made up with them this evening to get together for dinner at 8 p.m. 2 o'clock, you get a WhatsApp or a text from them. Hey, sweetie, I love you. XOXO. We're going to get together at 8. I love you. Yes, don't call me. Don't text me. I have meetings the whole 8 o'clock tonight. We'll get together. Beautiful. 7 minutes later, again, you get a text. Hi, I'm just thinking about you. Our song is on the radio. XO, love you. I can't wait for dinner tonight at 8 o'clock. You send them back. Yes, 8 o'clock. Don't disturb me anymore. I have meetings the whole day. 4 minutes later, you get another WhatsApp. Hi, our song is singing on the radio. I just love you so much. I can't wait to see you. Yes, I get it. 14 minutes later on WhatsApp, on Facebook, they put, my spouse is the greatest ever. XOXO, love, heart. What happens at 8 p.m. that night? You dump them. You had enough of them, right? And you see, I knew it. They're constantly nervous about relationships. They have an anxiety in their relationship. This is the kind of long-term relationship that asks you for your Facebook password, right? Wait a minute, we're in a long-term relationship, right? You're not hiding any secrets from me, so give me your Facebook password. But why? Oh, why, you're hiding something from me? No, I'm not. Oh, so give me the Facebook password, right? Or this is a spouse or a long-term relationship that checks your texts and your WhatsApps to see who you've been communicating with. So they grab, when you're not looking, they grab your phone, they check to double check that you really love them and there isn't anyone else in your relationship. I actually recently heard that there's a hidden app. You could grab someone's phone without them knowing about it. You could download a hidden app. They don't know they have the app on their phone. And you on your phone could check every single time they send a message back and forth, right? It's a hidden app. Now, if you are concerned about this right now, if you're anxious right now, I have a sense you're a category 3, right? This anxiety is part of that relationship, right? Constantly need to double check, right? Who are you with, right? That's the very, very profound feature of this type of relationship, right? I want to... Oh, absolutely. Well, when we talk tomorrow, we're going to add more to what this looks like in certain kind of personality disorders, absolutely, right? I want to merge completely with another person, right? They want to have a melding with another person, and this desire sometimes scares people away. Right now, remember what their mother was like. Their mom was hot and cold. This is someone who early on in their life had a mother who sometimes was with you and sometimes was against you. Sometimes mom was hugging you, sometimes not. So now, fast forward 30 years. Now you have an adult who, when they're in a relationship, they're going to hold on to you for dear life. Right? You're in a relationship, they're going to hold on to you. I want to merge completely with that other person. All right? These are the 3 categories. Now, an interesting component to this is, imagine what happens when these 3 different types match up in relationships. So for example, imagine when 2 securely attached people have a relationship, a long-term relationship. These are 2 people who are, once again, secure in their relationship. They know, they trust, they give. These types of people, when they get together long-term, have the longest and highest marital satisfaction in comparison to other dyads. Whereas on the other hand, imagine someone who is secure, who's married to someone who is insecure avoidant. Someone who's very secure with themselves in terms of love and relationship, or someone who's a bit more detached and aloof. What happens there? So full disclosure, that is me and my wife, right? I'm avoidant. I'll tell you in a moment why. My wife is clearly securely attached, very securely attached. That's one good thing my mother-in-law did. Very securely attached. Now, what happens at the end of the day when I come home from a long day at work? I need some quiet time. I need avoidance. My wife understands me, is not insecure about the relationship, and she's able to let me, okay, go down to the basement, watch some football, come back when you're ready to talk. She's not anxious about it. Now, why am I avoidant? Because my mom is avoidant as well. Why? My mom is a child of a Holocaust survivor. And there is fascinating research about how children of Holocaust survivors have interesting attachment types, right? So then, it's intergenerational, remember, right? Attachment is part of who I am, and that's what I do with my child and with a grandchild. So there's a continuity. So if my mom is avoidant because of being a child of a Holocaust survivor, then it transfers over to us, right? So ultimately, the reason I'm avoidantly attached is because of Hitler. The more you could blame him, the better, right? Now, let's talk about the 3rd type. Imagine if someone who is avoidant, like myself, has a long-term relationship or is married with someone who is resistant, ambivalent, anxious. This is someone, I come home after a long day at work, and my resistant, ambivalent, anxious wife has been waiting all day to merge completely with me. And I come home now, and I just want to go down to the basement to chill out for a little while, but she's been waiting all day to merge with me. Wait a minute, what happened? Are you cheating on me? What's going on? There's this constant anxiety. You can imagine the tension when you have an avoidant type of person and an anxious, ambivalent type of person working together, right? Now imagine 2 avoidant people who have a long-term relationship. 2 avoidant people, there isn't much of a relationship, right? Each of them has their own little corner. They have very little sharing, right? Now, finally, imagine 2 anxious, ambivalent types. 2 people who each want to merge completely with the other one, right? Imagine what happens there. You find them hugging each other in some hut in Vermont somewhere. They have no interactions with the world around them because they just merge completely. also profoundly unhealthy, a very, very intense kind of closed system. All right? So these are the three types, and they impact our relationships in very, very profound ways. Now, let's bring together this idea of three relationship types: your secure person, your avoidant person, and your anxious person. Let me share with you one of the most fascinating research studies that has ever been written in psychology. This study, profound impact on the practice of psychology. This study wanted to see if there's a connection between these three relationship types: you're secure, you're avoidant, and you're anxious. Is there a connection between these three types, the way you are, and how you say goodbye to a significant other at an airport? Right? Now, this sounds like a kooky study. This was published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. It's a tier 1, top journal. I hate them. They reject my papers all the time. It's a top journal. Listen to this fascinating thing that they did. The team of researchers from the University of Denver went down to Denver International Airport, complicated, messy airport, and it was before September 11th, so they were able to go down to the gate. And what they did first was observe couples say goodbye to each other, and they made a list. The first phase of the study was making a list of all the nuanced behaviors that go in to saying goodbye at an airport to a significant other. And they ended up with a list of about 40, 50 nuanced behaviors, literally to the minutia: kiss, cheek, how long, what words. 40 to 50 minutia of behavior. They generated the list. Then they went back, and they observed couples. They made notes of what they were doing when they said goodbye. One person left, other person stayed. Then they caught up to the person and said, "Hi, we're researchers at the University of Denver. Can you please fill out an adult attachment measure?" Right? A well-known measure of categorizing people into these three types. And what they wanted to see was, how does each type of relationship, how does each type of attachment relate to how you say goodbye at the airport? And what they found was as follows. Your securely attached people had the following characteristics. Number one, verbal I love yous. They actually would say, "I love you." Makes sense. They're securely attached. You're saying goodbye at an airport. "I love you." Another feature of the securely attached person was appropriate physical contact. Appropriate physical contact. Those were the two features of number three. Securely attached people waited till the final boarding call. Right? That was, now, part of what they asked later on was, who did you say goodbye to, right? So they wanted to make sure that you're saying goodbye to a significant other. The second type, the adult relationship that's avoidant, that's a bit more detached. The features of their goodbye was, number one, no verbal I love yous. You don't say I love you. Number two, no physical contact. No physical contact, right? Remember, they're avoidant, no physical contact. Number three, many of them didn't wait for the final boarding call. They left a while before. And another interesting feature of some of them is that they said goodbye to their significant other by shaking their hand and then walking away. And again, they asked them, who did you say goodbye to? A long-term relationship, a spouse, a fiancé, significant other, long-term relationship. Now, the third type, the anxious type of relationship. These were the characteristics of their goodbye. Number one, inappropriate physical interaction. Inappropriate physical contact. What does it mean, inappropriate physical contact? Inappropriate physical contact. That's what it means. Number two, inappropriate emotional reaction. Crying, right? The emotions are all out. Inappropriate The guy's going away for 2 days for a business trip. What are you crying? Crying. Again, remember, the relationship core over here is in anxiety about the relationship and uncertainty about the relationship. So you're leaving me now? I'm very anxious about it. Number three, and most interestingly, those who are anxious in their relationship. not only did they wait for the final boarding call, but even after their other went in, they stood by the window, looked at the plane back up, and waved to it as it started taking off into the mountains. Waving, right? That's the level of anxiety that these people who have that type of attachment, that's the level of anxiety that they have. You know, when I was in college, there was a couple that lived not far, like a building right next to where we lived. And it was a relatively young couple. They got married recently. And he asked me, I lived in Miami at the time, so he asked me, he was going away to Houston for a business trip for 2 days. He was flying out of Fort Lauderdale, which is about a half hour north of Miami. And he wanted to know if I'm willing to sit in the car, drive up. He was going to go with his wife. His wife wasn't comfortable driving on I-95. Am I comfortable sitting in the back, drive up, him and his wife are going to go into the terminal, she'll say goodbye to him, she'll come back, and I'm going to drive his wife in his car back to his place in Miami. I said, okay, not a problem. So we get to the curbside. Again, it was before September 11th, so you had to drive by the curbside and wait over there for a little while. Him and his wife go in. His wife comes out. I'm sitting in the driver's seat. His wife comes back about 20 minutes later, sobbing uncontrollably. And she sits next to me. And I'm driving I-95 south as fast as I can. I had no idea what to do. I'm a 20-year-old dude sitting with this young lady who was crying. I knew that he was going for 2 days to Houston. I was driving so fast, I wanted to ram into a concrete barrier. That's how much. I had no idea what this was about. It was only later when I learned about these concepts, attachment, relationship types, there was some kind of anxiety in that relationship. It was an anxious attachment type which created that level of fear or concern or detachment or this anxiety overall about the status of the relationship.